Hello, my name is Goran Tomka. I'm professor at Faculty of Media and Communications from Belgrade. I work in the intersection of culture, politics, and economics. And I'm interested in researching, exploring, and promoting different alternative models to cultural policy, economic policy, and environmental policies. The term that I want to talk to you today about is degrowth and the relation between degrowth and heritage. So what is degrowth? A usual, somewhat too simple understanding of degrowth is that we should have less of economic activity, that our economies should shrink. This is, as I said, too simplified, but even that brings quite interesting insights to the field of heritage as well as many other fields. Because the question it brings is, what do we really need? And how much is enough? And for centuries, humans have been collecting and putting a lot of stuff into institutions like museums and collections. The question that 21st century poses to us is, what is enough? Are there really all these things that we keep in our museums, are they really needed? I would just like to bring your attention to certain objects that, for example, were not designed and made to be preserved. They're objects to be used. Objects of indigenous cultures, which are sometimes used to be burned or made to be used and returned back to nature, either by burning or by burying. They ended up in our museums. And just imagine the continuation of humanity, which keeps on collecting and collecting. We need to take into consideration that every object collected is an object that consumes space, consumes energy, consumes money, and contributes to pollution and other exploitative relations. So on the surface of this relation between degrowth and heritage, the question is, how much heritage, how much memory is enough? Do we need to also open up questions of deaccessioning or giving away things? And this is something that a lot of museums recently and libraries are thinking about. So how much is enough, and can we just keep on growing? However, deeper aspects of degrowth go much further. They actually ask us not just to reevaluate how much economy is enough, but what do we value in our societies? Because currently our societies value mostly growth of money. So they value growth measured by money. Whether you call it GDP or some other instruments, our governments, our media, our experts, institutions, they closely monitor and worry about whether our economic activity grows. However, it is very simple also to notice that a lot of economic activity is not good. Crimes, wars, pollutions, they're all good for GDP, for the growth of GDP. Because when there is an oil spill in the ocean, someone's going to clean it up, someone's going to do some kind of legal action, and that will actually be good for the growth of GDP. But we cannot say that it's good for humanity. We cannot say that it's good for our planet. So we need to step away from GDP as a measurement of wealth, of health, and of quality of our lives on this planet. In that sense, degrowth is an invitation to question, what do we value as important? What do we value as good? And what do we want to keep in the centuries and decades that are in front of us. And of course, framed like that, degrowth brings a lot of obvious questions to the heritage field. How do we frame heritage? How do we define heritage? How do we decouple heritage from economic thinking? Thinking like how many audiences, how many sold tickets in museums, how many new projects that we are going to have as heritage institutions and so on, and really refocus our attention on what is important in our society. And a lot of degrowth scholars, they talk about relations, connections, access, care, mutual understanding, having time to reflect, having time to spend with our families, with our loved ones, and so on. And then, as someone who's working in a heritage field, probably the question would be, what is really the role of a museum or of a collection or of a library? Is it to grow in terms of number of exhibitions, number or size of the budget, or is it something else? Is there maybe some other measurements and evaluation that we need to focus on, like how embedded are we in the community? What kind of memory do we leave behind us? And what kind of values we promote in our societies? Because heritage, as we know, is partly about history, but it's much more about the future. What do we want to take into the future? And degrowth invites us to be careful about what do we want to take into the future. Because some things in our current systems and in our current humanities maybe are best left behind so that new futures can be born on different values and based on different principles. Thank you.